And Syria is becoming a haven for radical extremists with aspirations to launch terrorist attacks against the U.S. That's exactly what a top intelligence official told Congress yesterday. Here's what the Director of National Intelligence, James Clapper, told the Senate Intelligence Committee.
Tremendous concern here for these extremists who are attracted to Syria, engage in combat, get training, and we're seeing now the appearance of training complexes in Syria to train people to go back to their countries and of course, conduct more terrorist acts.
Clapper says that between 75,000 and 110,000 rebels are battling the government in Syria. Of those, 26,000 are extremists. And he says about 7,000 of them are foreigners from 50 different countries, including Europe and the Middle East. U.S. intelligence officials have expressed worry that a handful of American foreign fighters and hundreds of European militants have already returned to their home countries. So might all of this change the U.S. course of action in Syria? For some insight on that, I'm joined by Ahmed Fathi, a Middle East analyst. Thanks for joining me, Ahmed.
Thank you, Amira, for having me.
So Clapper says Syria is becoming a haven for radical extremists from all over the world. Is that something Americans should really be concerned about?
Absolutely. The American government should be very concerned about what's happening in Syria. And on the other side, it is not a surprise. This is a standard operating procedures for Al-Qaeda and its affiliates. We have seen it over and over again. We have seen it in Afghanistan. We have seen it in Pakistan, in the FETA area, the federally administered tribal areas. We have seen it before in the 80s in the Sudan, when bin Laden went there and established training camps. And we saw it in Iraq from 2003 onward. So it's an ongoing, it's part of their operating procedure. They get a foothold on the ground, and then they start to develop from there. So definitely, U.S. intelligence community and security apparatus should be very, very concerned.
Mm-hmm. And Ahmed, some analysts have said that it's possible opposition militants will tire of battling the government, which is showing no signs of collapse, and instead take their newly acquired skills back to Europe or to the U.S., where acts of terror may be able to grab larger headlines. Is this about actually shifting their target or expanding their targets abroad?
This is definitely a valid scenario, that these terrorists are going to be, at the end, going back to their countries. Whether they are going to be carrying out operations by themselves, or they are going to be training others without the need to leave the country. We have heard in Europe, in many European countries, in Britain, in Germany, in Belgium, about the jihad tourism. These people just average working, and then they take a vacation months or so, and then they flock to Syria. There have to be more vigilant approach and more careful screening at the countries bordering Syria. And I'm speaking here about Turkey, about Jordan, about Iraq, about who is coming in and where do they go after that. I'm sure that the security apparatus in Turkey or Jordan, for example, when they see this influx of young people and they all heading into the same direction to go to a border point crossing to Syria, this should be a red flag. I am surprised that it's not been tackled earlier on.
Well, Ahmed, of course, the Syrian peace talks are ongoing in Geneva, but as we know, they've struggled a bit to actually get going off the ground. Would you say that this round of Geneva talks has helped bring the two sides any closer together?
The first round in the Geneva talks did nothing in terms of tangible results. It only brought the two sides to agree to sit with each other. Maybe it's the early stages of the negotiations. I'm not expecting that the dispute that's been going on and the civil war that's been going on for 3 years is going to be solved in a week. But we hoped that the humanitarian aid would reach to the affected areas inside Syria based on the promises that the Syrian regime have made. Unfortunately, this has just have been talk. Still, the aid agencies are not able to reach to the areas affected. They are not able to distribute the food rations that much needed in areas like Homs, for example. I hope that in the next round, some details could be ironed between the two sides, but I'm not expecting a breakthrough early on.
A quick follow-up on that. Do you think the next round, Lakhdar Brahimi, the special UN envoy, says they should be more productive in the next round? Do you see any more productivity coming?
It's only hopes. I share Lakhdar Brahimi hopes of being more productive in the second round, but it have to have two willing and able sides to negotiate and the political will. From what I have seen so far, the Syrian regime is trying to waste the time in rhetoric mostly, and it's a difficult process. Negotiation is not an easy task to undertake.
We'll have to see if that rhetoric turns into action. Ahmed Fathi, a Middle East analyst, thank you.
Thank you, Amira.